What sort of bond did you have with Feroz Saab?
With my father, he was one of those guys, but he was very, very authentic. One of the most authentic people I have met.
Why I mentioned Janasheen was because I still remember the way it was promoted was something else.
We released with Kal Ho Na Ho, I think, pretty much equal opening. I think that was a Shah Rukh Saif film. I was not as raw and horrible as I was in Premagan. And for me, the daunting bit was to act opposite him. So that gave me sleepless nights. Hi, this is Fardeen Khan and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.
All right, how do you look back at Janasheen now? What sort of bond did you have with Feroz Saab?
It was
Extremely loving guy in terms of he was extremely expressive in terms of expressing his love.
Yeah, completely. with my father, I mean, there were no filters as such, So when he loved you, you were showered with love. If he's pissed off with you, you were showered with anger. So with my father, he was one of those guys, but he was very, very authentic. One of the most authentic people I have met.
Yeah.
So what he felt, he would make sure you knew how he felt about things, and if he was wrong, and he'd say, yes, okay, fine, I was wrong, and move on. But yes, of course, he had a bit of a temper. People were wary of that. I think it's a well-known fact in the industry.
Yeah.
But he kind of cooled off as quickly as he exploded. But unique man. I mean, I'm not saying it as a son, but just having observed him as a person. So yeah, one of the most one of a kind in many aspects.
Right.
Just the way he conducted himself, the way he lived his life, the way he interacted with people, his values, his life approach. It was not apologetic.
Right, and great sense of music and style.
Yes, that was something which I think was just innate in him. Apparently when he was 13 and 14, he used to walk down the lane in Cookstown in Bangalore dressed as a cowboy. So that was his childhood dream and ambition, to make a Western film and be a part of cinema in some way or shape or form. So obviously he had no idea how he was going to do it, but he just had a dream and he just had a vision, and he had this. He had I would say, a very clear idea of the way he saw himself, and his personality, and I mean, yes, it was authentic. I mean, but as well, it was larger than life, and he was naturally like that. It was larger than life even in the house. He could sit in the lungi and he would be larger than life. Just by virtue of his aura and his personality. And it was a hell of an experience, being close to him as a son, observing him as a friend, observing him as a person. So, how was the experience? Going back to your question of Janasheen, we did Premagan before that. That was my debut, which he produced and directed, and then of course we did Janasheen many years later. So for me, of course, having done quite a few films in between, so it was. I mean, our working relationship was obviously more mature. I could. How should I say, offer him more as an actor. Having worked with, I don't know how many films I'd done by that point, but I'd done, I think, at least 10, 15 movies, so I was not as raw and horrible as I was in Premagan. And for me, the daunting bit was to act opposite him. So that gave me sleepless nights. For one, he's got a very powerful presence, and he's got that very strong aura on screen. His screen personality is very, very powerful.
Right. Why I mentioned Janasheen was because I still remember the way it was promoted was something else, like full page ads in say newspapers, and the opening was huge.
Yes.
The film started with a
released
with a really big bang.
Yes, we released with Kal Ho Na Ho, I think.
Yeah, so I think that was something.
And we had pretty much equal opening. I think that was a Shah Rukh Saif film.
Yeah, so it was
Yes.
the way it started,
Yes.
and because I think it was his vision in terms of promotions and everything, which which really just caught the eye of almost everyone. Amongst all his films, which one do you think is your favorite?
The films he's acted in.
acted or
Oh,
directed,
you
yeah.
mean his
Yeah.
the ones he's produced and directed or acted in?
Acted, produced, directed, whichever.
Dharmatma and Qurbani,
Of course.
two films which I liked him in Aadmi Aur Insaan, liked him in Safar. In my conversations with him, he never felt he was any script or director captured where he wanted to project himself on screen, and that was one of the reasons he decided to. He was always very keen on getting behind the camera, but that was one of the reasons he decided to produce and direct. And up to Aprad, that was in 1970. He started. He was still doing supporting stuff, supporting roles, and yes, he had some leads, but he hadn't really made it to where he wanted to, and that's where he decided to launch himself as a producer director, and he wanted to act in his films and project himself the way he envisioned it.
Right.
And so in terms of where I found him most authentic and impactful were in these two films, Dharmatma and Qurbani. It really captured the sense of the star Feroz Khan and what he was all about.
Definitely. And amongst his songs, famous songs, which is your personal favorite? So many of them.
Quite a few, but again, songs from Dharmatma, Qurbani, and Janbaz.
Jambaz, of course, हर किसी को नहीं मिलता है.
Yes.
Such a
And-
famous song still.
And there were some very nice songs in Janasheen too.
Of course.
And there was another nice song in my first film, Premagan, Khate Hain Kasam, which I really enjoyed. That was Anu Malik. And so yeah. So music was something he was very, very passionate about, and he had this ear for composition, and he used to work very closely with all the composers that he worked with. I remember as a child, I used to just sit in the corner of the room when they used to have their music sessions, and we used to have a den there. There used to be a little outhouse there in that corner, and that's where the music sessions used to take place. So from my memory, I remember from Qurbani time. Yes, so I used to sit in on the sessions whenever I had spare time. And, it's just you hear literally from an Indivarji and Kalyanji Anandji, and so I used to just watch them work and just sit there quietly, and so just how the songs actually start, scratch recordings. They used to start with these little mics and little recorders, and my dad used to get these little Sony Walkman recorders that came out back in the day, and he was always very much into technology, and so and then we used to hear it back and play it back, and that once in a while if he asked you for your opinion, you didn't know what exactly to say, but I liked it, I liked that, I preferred this, I preferred that.
Right.
So
And visionary. When it, say, I'm just saying in terms of music, the way he thought of say Nazi Hassan for Aap Jaisa Koi, it's that song is still so fresh. I spoke to Zina ji a few months back, and that's one of her favorite songs for sure. The way she was picturized, but beautiful song. And to think of this pop artist and get her on this big stage, that in itself, I think it requires vision.
it was, yes, he he never quite sought acknowledgement for his contribution to commercial Hindi cinema. But music is definitely one aspect. In Qurbani was the first 4-track stereo recording, and which was done in London at the time for that one song, Aap Jaisa Koi. And even if you look at his films from Dharmatma and Qurbani, in terms, and Jambaz, in terms of storytelling, in terms of editing, in terms of action, what he pulled off in Qurbani, it really redefined the way films were told. In terms of a genre, in terms of progressive, in terms of editing technique, in terms of introducing Hindi films to pop music. So it was all his contribution in many ways to get it all started.
I mean, people like Biddu to come into the picture. I think that was a
Yes.
very interesting move as well, because
He-
now we see all these pop artists coming into the picture. But I think back then
He was
was,
he was extremely well traveled, and when it came to, he used to watch a lot of movies. His film history was bang on. Uh, Music was a passion for him, so his influences were, you know, music from the time when he, because they grew up at a time when, all their teachers were all English. You're talking about back in the 40s and 50s, and there were a lot of English people, so their music and their whole influence was all very Western. The teachers in school were actual English teachers. When I say English, I mean white.
Right.
So that's how they all grew in Bangalore. So the influence has been there, and and then he kept that influence going, and kept updating himself, pretty much throughout. He loved music, and he had a great collection. He was always looking for music, and always interested in new sounds, and always trying to do something new in terms of his sounds and beats that he liked, or I mean, and not just in terms of uh, you know. Competition. This is what they are doing. I got to do something different. No, I mean, he's to get excited to want to do it. Want to just do something new, which that's a sound for him, which was new. That's so it's pushing the envelope for him on a very personal level was as an artist, as a creator, was very important, and he pursued that all the way to the end.
Absolutely.
We still have about 4 songs that he recorded for the remake of Qurbani that he.
Okay, so would you like to release it at some stage?
Well, we'll see. We're contemplating. I'm working on a remake of Qurbani, so let's see.
Okay, so you like to direct it yourself?
No. Just
Produce it?
be creatively involved in it. Yes, in some
All right.
capacity.
That's amazing.
So
Okay.
that's just on the cards. But hi, this is Fardeen Khan, and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.